how my mum ended up in Dr. Bernardo's is that my Nana Maggie, who's passed away now, what happened is my granddad John Collins, who I'm named after, he got a rheumatic fever because he was a rag and bone man. Mm-hmm. But when they say rag and bone, they're looking for rags but of good material, to recycle. Yeah. And bone was bone china.
Oh, okay. Right, I've never known that.
Yeah, that's from the East End of London. There's a place called Shoreditch.
Yeah.
So what happens, he ends up gets rheumatic fever, goes to hospital, doesn't recover, passes away. Nana Maggie's left with 4 kids. My Uncle John, who's passed away now, my mum Dot, Aunt Eileen and Aunt Sylvia. They won't keep the 2 eldest, but they'll keep the 2 youngest. So my mum and Uncle John, they both end up in care of Dr. Bernardo's. We used to sort of see Auntie Eileen and Auntie Sylvia, over the years, and Uncle John went to Australia. And I think that what it did to my mum, that horrendous start to her life, because she was a daddy's girl as well. Oh, yeah. It put her on that downward spiral in life, and then what would happen every time she sort of like get it together and claw her way up, something else would happen, and so on and so on. As I say, that we had a couple of like stepdads, which it's for modern times now, so everyone is, something doesn't work out, you just form another relationship, but she was doing it way back then, and she just made the wrong choices. Like how we do, you don't always make the right choice, and from all that happening, and then to have problems with Paul as a kid. I mean, I went to see a child psychiatrist along with Paul as well. We both got taken actually, because my mum thought it was strange. Paul's was because he just had to have some outlandish behaviour, and mine was, I used to, bits of cardboard, I would draw like superheroes on them and fight with them, just use the imagination. My mum thought I was mentally disturbed anyway. They just said it was my vivid imagination and just doing what children do. You find whatever's at hand to make toys. Paul's wasn't so much that way, I don't think. As I say, I'm not a person who studies the mind and people's behaviour. He's definitely got issues with the world, and maybe the world owes him something, I don't know, but it's, I could say to myself, the world owes me something, but I think you just have to get on with life, like how Dot had to do. She got dealt a shit hand, and it fucks her up. I think Paul, to some degree, was given a shit hand. With a shit hand, you can play your cards right and you'll get through it, or you can just go fucking wild and lose everything. And I think that's all that's happened. I mean, myself personally, I don't, as I say, that if you're a little kid perhaps, and, I don't remember my mum, to me personally, she never ever called me a black bastard or a nigger or out like that. I have no memory of it. I have memories of going out with my mum on the afternoon to places and, it'd be like a black club and my mum sort of giving it all like, you black bastards, you with your fucking kids and all stuff like that, but it wasn't only mum sort of saying them things. There was other white women around, but who had like, 3-4 mixed race kids, so maybe half entitles them to use that verbal to a degree.
No, my mum did. My mum used to say, you don't know if you're a horse or a fucking donkey. She used to say all fucking thoughts towards man when she'd get going. Call me dad a black bastard on a regular.
My mum used to call me my dad, and perhaps that's why I didn't have such a great relationship with my dad. I was only very young when my dad died. I was, 22 thinking I'm a man, but I was far from a man at 22. You just think you are, because you've got the responsibilities of kids and rent and all that, but that don't make you a grown-up man, far from it. And the day he died was actually me, Paul and Joey Jasper. We used to love going to the moors, just have a weed and that, and we'd gone there and come back home, and we was living in Rusholme at the time, and Winnie, my first wife, she answered the door and I could just see, I just knew, and he died, my dad, which was dead weird. We'd sort of like all gone to relax and we'd been to see him, and I remember like when he was dying, my dad was saying, he's like in paradise and all that, but that was obviously the morphine that he was giving him because he only had one lung, my dad.
Right.
But he lived for 8 years with one lung. But was that distant from my dad that I was coming home from work one day, and it's when we lived in Rusholme, so I'm coming down Dickinson Road, and the 53 is just turning, and I could see our Paul on the other one going like that, fucking hell, you know. So I got off there, and he said, "Oh, my dad's, you know, he's in hospital. What's up?" His cancer and had this lung removed. I didn't even know. Paul knew, but I didn't know. So I'm saying that my loyalty, it lied with my mother.
Yeah.
You know, whether she did things rightly or wrongly. You know, I just seen it, you know, this is the one who's feeding me. Yeah, I got a crack. Sometimes I got bad cracks, but we wasn't the only kids getting it, whether, irrespective of your colour. Corporal punishment was kind of, that's how it was. And, you know, sometimes they went overboard. You know, it's like, it wasn't get to your room, you know, or you're grounded, you know. You know, grounded, we would have just legged out the window, you know. It's different, isn't it?
No, absolutely. We used to get kicked and everything. We used to try and hide under the bench like, you bastards, You know, just lost the plot.
But it gave you respect, though, didn't it? You know, to agree. You know, I don't think it's the right method. I think with kids, you know, that like you can use your mind. Children understand. If you set boundaries, then you know, kids they soon learn. It's how you sort of discipline them. But it was just to say, just as well. I told you what happened is that we were staying in that bed sit, and I got booted out by this old Jamaican guy. Obviously, you know, like 4 guys in there just fucking making noise, and he's got all other people like living in the house. So he ends up back at John's. So everything's sort of great. As this fight ended up at my mum's, and then I just kind of got involved with Winnie. It's just something that happened in my life that definitely, 100% kept me out of prison. And through Winnie and other white girls who I've met in my life, I realised, you know, that fucking hell, these Johns, as I used to call them, because that's what I used to call them, you know, I call them Johns, me, white guys, certain white guys. I wouldn't have said to Tom, you're a John, because to me, Tom wasn't as daft as that sounds, even though I know his skin was white. What was inside of him, he had the same spirit as me. That's what I used to think. Same with Tommy Prowse, the same. I knew that Tom wasn't brown like me, but he felt like me inside, and that was it. But I don't think Paul ever sort of... He never had that. I don't think he had any close mates in Mouse Platin as such, you know, and still pals with them. I might have had them... You know, your adolescent years, and then I think what happens, I think it's when you get to 12 and 13, if you're still getting the shit, I think it plays on your mind, and I think it did for, you know, like I spoke to Tony Cole loads of times, and he was brought up round here, Burnage, and he used to say to me, fucking hell, P, man, Johns, you don't know what it was fucking like with them. And I said to him, but I do, T, man, I said, fucking hell, where we was brought up, you know, that you couldn't get like curried goat. There was nothing sort of Afro-Caribbean whatsoever at all in the shop. You know, just nothing.
No,
You know,
Asian shops brought that about.
Yeah.
Didn't they? Green bananas and yam.
Plantain.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to Nigeria many years ago with Paul, and it was I don't know. It was part of it was beautiful. Because of my friend Simon Achuzio, who was best man at his wedding, he was brought up there, but lived here as well, because he was from, his family's Igbo, and his dad was a colonel in the Biafran War. So, and my father's a Yoruba. So, when we sort of went over there and staying at my cousin's gaff, he didn't want my friend Simon to stay there. You know, and I'm thinking, what's fucking wrong? And then he's saying, you know, like in Yoruba, because he's fucking Igbo and all that. And I just said, well, I don't care what he is, but back home, this guy's my fucking brother. And you can't send him, I wanted to send him home in the middle of the night when it's fucking dangerous. There's curfew and all that. You know, fuckers like that. But it was a crazy experience, you know, again, because there was a fucking Englishman.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Englishman, I've got to Nigeria, and you know, wow, just seeing some beautiful things I've seen, but there was like poverty, you know, when you see poverty.
I went to Jamaica in '74 and I know exactly
and
what
it's
you
just, wow, you know, and it kind of makes you a bit makes you a bit anti-white for a while.
Yeah.
That's what kind of happened, because I'm thinking, you know, open sewers and stuff like that, you know. And, you know, heroin was there at the time that I was there, drugs and all that, and you're thinking, fucking hell, the last thing these people need is all drugs. And they used to have this song they used to sing to us. I remember getting into an argument with one of my cousin's friends, and it's the kids sing Oyibo Pepe, and it's like means welcome white man, and I'm thinking fucking white man. One day Charlie'd off my napper, because again shouldn't have been doing it, but one climate in it as well for your homecoming. I said, listen, all the things I get called in England, the one thing that I never ever get called is white man. And it was fucking like, no, they was looking at me like, fucking hell, I'm insane. But I kind of knew that, thank God, Dad, that you come to England for me to be born, because for me to have been born in Nigeria, I probably would have been dead very young, because I would have wanted to voice my opinion about the wrongs that I've seen there, the corruption that I've seen there, even though it's a beautiful, there's parts of it that I just...
Would you have known it to be corrupt, though, that if you'd have been born then, it just would have been where you were born? I
think that you would have just fell into that system and accepted that culture and that level of discipline, because discipline is very important from what I've seen in Nigerian culture, you know, that your elders, they're respected to the max. I'm saying it's just like you can't be cursing your mum or dad down, because you'll definitely get beaten in front of everybody. It's made an example of, you know, so there's that respect thing. So again, I think with the culture of my dad, with like, he probably thought that with my mum, that my wife, she'll do what I say. By then, daughter, like, fucking hell, she'd had to struggle, she'd had to survive, you know, so I don't think she was gonna, and my mum never let any man dominate her for too long. Yeah, they tried to. You know
How old was your mum when she met your dad?
21, I think.
Oh, she's not even that old, is she?
Baby.
Yeah.
Baby. And by them standards of living, what we knew, then she was a proper baby. You know, don't forget, there was innocent, weren't there? You still had like 21-year-old fucking virgins running around.
Yeah.
You did, didn't you?
Compared
to now, you know, where... You know,
I think it's really interesting talking about the black side.
Yeah.
What you're just saying about, you know, like...
I mean, there's a lot of culture there, because it's not only were me and my brother descendant from musicians, we're the descendant from like elders of the tribe who spoke about issues. I mean, it's there, they have like a thing from about it corridor, you know, and they're there, the name Agbak, who's there from, you know, 150 years ago. They're there, so they're known, they're well known.
What, like philosophers?
The same way how you would sort of have like your local councillor.
Okay.
Say, them type of people to resolve issues. But my uncle Musse, or my great uncle Musse, he was what they call a master drummer. I mean, a renowned within Yoruba music, renowned for that.
Yeah. So that's odd, Phil, though, isn't it? Oh, right, what am I trying to say? That we're cut off. You know, if we'd have been born pure black or pure white, right, we'd have had a lineage from our family, wouldn't we? Do you know, like, we'd have known these things. We wouldn't have got to be a teenager. No. You've got to be a teenager before you found these things.
Yeah, I've only found some in my family in Australia very recently.
Yeah.
But I was looking for them, but he found me before I found him.
Right. Your Uncle John.
My Uncle John's children, yeah.
Yeah. But do you know, like, you would have, right, you just said, I'm related to a master drummer, right? So if you'd have been white or black from a family that's just on a straight line of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so if you come from a generation of butchers, then they're going to be butchers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you would have just known, oh, well, the possibilities, I can be a butcher.
I never pursued anything musically.
Yeah, but you just said that your uncle, that your mum's lover, your mum's last relationship took you to piano lessons.
Yeah, little bits, but I never sort of mastered the piano.
No, but it's there though. I never wanted to play the piano. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's, what I'm trying to say is that we've got no lineage.
Yeah, but I think what you're trying to say is that if you come from a family and they've got a particular skill, you can point to, well, I've got this particular skill, and it might be an arty thing that you have, or it can just be a practical skill. It's like, why am I Phil Collins or Phil Agbaku? Why can I do this? Why can I do that? And why do I think this? It's something, it comes from your ancestors.
If all your family would have been divided because of...
Had the tree not gone that way?
Yes.
Yeah.
With mixed raceness.
Yeah, it could have been very different.
It could have been... Yeah, you would have kind of like... There's all these choices in my family.
Well, then I have to ask myself, because I've thought that myself in my own mind, am I my father's seed or am I my mother's egg? You know, it's that like, I could have been... If I come from my father's seed then I would have been born a black man because he would have planted his seed with a black woman. And if my mother would have met a white man, then I would therefore have been white, and maybe I would have thought how some white people think. I don't know, because I can never truly have the 100% the white experience. I can have it to a certain degree. I can get quite high in percentages, but on the same level, I can't be 100% black. As much as I like that experience to a degree, I can never be 100% black because I've got this white lineage that I love and care for. My descendants, some have got red hair, some have got blonde hair, blue eyes. They're my blood. But I also have relatives who are black as the fucking night, the bluey black. Do you know what I mean?
No, but exactly.
And I'm of all them things.
No, but exactly. But that's mental. It's wonderful and mental.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's the equivalent of being a pit bull and put it with a Jack Russell. What are you going to get?
No,
it's
exactly.
Lucky dip, isn't
no,
it,
but exactly. So what do you do? Do you fucking like guard houses, right? Or do you chase rats? No, but exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that was at our time. At our time, that was our experience.
Yeah, at that time.
We don't know. Well, my mum used to say, you don't know if you're a donkey or a horse, right? Total fucking insult. She was being an absolute drunken bitch when she said it. But it's true.
Yeah,
in reality, it's
genes
true.
do play a part, but if you're not brought up in an environment where that comes out, say for example, Paul with the football, whether it had been our blood father or the stepfather, if that skill that's obvious, if it's not encouraged, what happens is that it will only last for so long. Then it will wither and die. It won't bloom till it's full.
Yeah, because
potential.
you haven't got the power to take yourself to all these things. You need that encouragement.
Yeah.
You need that support.
Yeah.
He's a young lad. He hasn't got the power, and that's all he's saying in his videos. In that bit, it is.
Yeah, I do understand that, but what it is that there was not only my brother in that situation. There was many players, black and brown, who was gifted footballers, and I don't think, for whatever reasons, the full opportunities. For example, 2 mixed race lads that I know that was quality footballers, and in my opinion should have made it. Tony Cole, exceptional, believe you and me, exceptional footballer. Manny Buckle, quality footballer.
Yeah, no. But the further point is, it doesn't fucking matter whether they did or they didn't to Paul or to any of us. Your life matters to you, innit?
Mm.
For me to become a writer, Phil, has been such a struggle, not just against the society, but inside of me.
Yeah, because
to think that I'm entitled has been. For 5 years I was just saying I want to be a writer because it seemed like a fucking ludicrous thing to say.
No, but again, I think it's about being focused, and when you get to an adult, you can make them choices, can't you? And if you've got that drive and determination, you'll reach your goal. But I think that when you're a kid and you get knockbacks, it's hard to, if you've not got that role model there saying, yeah, pick yourself up, fuck them, let's get on with it type of thing. As I say, that me, like, leaving school so early, because again, having a child so young, is that my education, it just went out the window because I was pursuing other things. Food was needed, so that was my priority. And I went from, well, I'll get money doing whatever to Winnie sort of showing me, well, look, if you go to work, these things, you can still achieve them, you know, in terms of like surviving as a family unit. And so that's what I did for a long time. If I've got regrets, the regrets is that I made the wrong decisions. My teachers didn't want me to leave school.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was me. I totally rebelled. So I'm saying about Moss Side, it's one of those strange things. It made me feel so happy and feel belonging to something.
Yeah.
Yet it ruined my education, because all that being a studious boy, learning to read at, you know, just turned 4, it went completely and utterly out the window. I didn't care for any of it. I looked at history even in a different way, and I just realised that, well, like, it's just all propaganda. And even in my own mind, I broke it down, and it wasn't until many years later on the internet, and then someone else had done the same quote. And what I've done with history is split it up, and it's story. It's fabrication of the truth, and it's all for political gain and to put certain sections of society down. That's why I hate colonialism, and it's, you know, still to this day, no one's really addressed it. Do you know what I mean? You just think, oh, it doesn't matter. These mixed race people who are here, they're English, they're just the same as us. I'm sorry, Fred, I ain't exactly the same as you. Not only do I look different, I think very, very differently. When I even hear someone calling someone casually saying, you Paki, hurts me, because I've got a part Pakistani grandson. Yeah. I've also got a part Polish grandson, so I don't want to hear all that fuckery. To me, if you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. Like, with mixed race guys, I used to think we're all brothers, and, you know, you're great, you're this, you're that, and the other. As time went by, he's a bit of a cunt. Fucking hell. Wow, so's he. Yeah. And him and him, you learn, don't you? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That some are right and some are wrong. Yeah, I'll always have this thing about, and my kids, like, they laugh sometimes because I'm always going on about being mixed race, you know, and Phil, my third eldest, he always goes to me, you're the most racist person I know. So I said to him, I said, Phil, I'm not being racist. I said, what it is that I can live in both worlds. I said, I can hear everything the white man's got to say, but I can also listen to everything the black man's got to fucking say. I said, and what it is that it's their fear of fucking each other. That's what's fucking wrong. I said, the black man, he wants the comeuppance for the fucking white man, and the white man thinks, oh, fucking hell, that's all in the past, you've got a chip on your shoulder. Yeah. And it's all in the past, you've got a chip on your shoulder. Something happened to human beings, and we're part of that. Even though slavery, it's our distant cousin, isn't it? Yeah. But then people look the same as us. They've got the same things as us. So our people, they fucking suffered. People who was born like us hundreds of years ago, they've had our life. But was worse. We have gone on in slavery days, me and you trying to write things. They would have fucking chopped both your fucking hands. Or one at first, wouldn't they? We'll give you the chance now. We'll leave temptation for you.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
I've not thought about that. No, you're right.
All they tried to do here in the early days is just enslave our intellect by, we'll oppress you with like all these laws that's going to make you bitter, so we know that you're going to offend. So therefore, if you offend, the chances of you becoming a police officer or, you know, an MP from a working class area, that's you out of the fucking count. And it was sort of, that's how I see it, like it was this massive fucking plot that we don't want these, we don't want this fucking lot, don't want these being screws, you know, because we can't trust them, they're not like us. You know, they talk like us.
Do you think it's as far as that, a conspiracy?
Yeah, of course I do.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know if I can solve that.
Well, why wasn't we granted equal opportunities in the beginning? You've seen mixed race Britain, just look at some of the things that was happening there. You know, like in fucking Cardiff, you know, Bristol, how they was getting oppressed, you know. There was no, if you've got an area where there's, you know, you're getting fucking attacked by loads of white people, why not put a brown or black copper there and go, well, look.
Well, do you know what my first thought was? Because you can't trust him, just like you said. Because he's going to be on their side. Yeah, so therefore, then what happens then? You become excluded. You'd have to be part of it, don't you? And it's only now, the last 10 to 15 years, I think that people have been allowed to become part of the system. They probably don't. The establishment probably don't want to hear the words that me
and like-minded people like me and you have got to say. Because
that's why I want to video them.
Because they'll be thinking, well, fucking hell, what's wrong with these people? We've given them everything. You've given me fuck all. I'm a British fucking subject. No, do you know what I mean?
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at the truth.
And that's it.
Yeah, I'm just laughing at the truth. That's exactly what... It's true, they don't want to know.
Yeah.
They don't want to know.
If the Reno was going now, and there was 15, 16-year-old kids, right, going in the club, right, do you think social services wouldn't be there and serve every one of their fucking parents?
Yeah,
and what did they, but why was it left alone by society? Because, well, they're aliens to us, let them do their own fucking thing. And that was it, don't forget all the police, all taking backhanders.
Yeah, true.
And they know it's wrong. You're 15 years of age, you're in a gaff, right, where there are the fucking street robbers, pickpockets, pimps, dope dealers. Fucking hell. What education then are you giving this 15-year-old boy or girl? They're going to think, well, this is life. And that's what I tended to think, yeah.
No, I do.
Yeah, I want to attain to this, where it's like, it ain't going to get you nowhere. It ain't doing nothing for society at large or your people en masse. In that small little enclave it is,
It was a complete world onto it.
Yeah, it was like its own little kingdom, weren't it? And here's the king, here's the queen, here's the princes, and here's the lords, and here's the knights, that's how it was.
That's how I've seen it.
Yeah, there was an hierarchy, most definitely.
And I definitely wanted to fit in. I definitely had political moves of my own.
Yeah, well, I think you have to become politically motivated because, as I say, that while I empathise with the black struggle, I feel like I've been a minority within a minority all my life.
Well said, Phil.
I understand the black struggle. I really do. I've read that much, and not just about America or the UK, but what's happened throughout Europe. And people would be surprised if they knew.
Yeah.
How much people like us have been oppressed all over the world and have nothing to say. Yeah, there's a voice coming from America. But they call their name for themselves is biracial. Wow, where the fuck did that come from? Only God knows. It's Americans, isn't it, for you? They're just fucking crazy people.
It just means two races.
Yeah.
The same, really.
So, but I do know, as I say, that, it's a funny thing about mixed race people. They're only ever very honest when they're amongst their own talking.
It's true.
They are, aren't they? I found that.
It's true because we understand each other. Because we know, I know if you're telling the truth or you're not telling the truth. You just know. Yeah. I know from my own experience.
That's it. That's exactly it. Yeah.
And I know there's like even places that we only go off camera. What is really our own experience?
Yeah. Because it's like one of the things where, I can remember because I worked in factories for many, many years in our lives, and guys saying to me, with like the banter you used to have, that, Phil's not one of them, he's like us. And I used to think, fucking hell. I used to just say, you fucking hell, mate. I said, there's nothing upstairs, mate, you're just a fucking potato. Your brain's a fucking potato. That's all they did. Just have the banter.
Well, the thing is, though, to be fair, they don't have to think at that time.
No,
they don't have to think because they're part of the privilege.
They're status quo, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. So they don't have to we have to question everything that at various levels at various times of my life.
I can remember, Linda, which was horrendous.
Yeah.
The knit nurse.
Oh, yeah.
My hair now, as I say, that it was curly but loose. And when I say putting a knit comb for it,
I remember it.
Cry, you couldn't help but cry because of the agony. It's like no thought was ever given to, well, look, fucking hell. It's like we was this alien species that had come from another fucking planet.
But we were, though. Yeah, it's not even that we were like, we were alien at that time.
There was no accounting for it, like, well, perhaps even the skin, to a degree, it has to be treated in a different way because it's not white skin. It just isn't. It's a different fucking, it's a skin, obviously. Yeah. But it's made up differently, It's like the cold. I say to people, I said, you know what it is? And they all laugh at me. I said, you white people, I said, your skin's thicker because of this fucking country, the wind and the snow. I said,
it's got a climate.
I said, I've got genes in me from a fucking hot climate, I said, and I feel the cold. I said, I cannot stand the cold, and I can't.
I can't. My sister can't. My sister'd sit on top of the fire like nobody's business, to get warm.
Yeah. even having the windows open and all that when it's winter time, I can't stand. In the summer, I like everywhere, you know, I like fresh air and I'm more active when it's summertime. But the winter, no. And now it must have been for my dad his first winter day.
I've thought about that about my dad. Also, a mad thing I've thought about my dad is the stars. Because in Jamaica, right, the stars are that big, the light slashes and it's frightening. It was frightening when I first started. Oh, the fuck's wrong with the sky?
Yeah, like
to come from that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To come from that to ours where you can't see a star because of the smog or that must have been so strange, Phil.
Yeah, and bland food. But my dad never ate white man's food. Just never, African
my
food.
Dad occasionally ate chips on occasion. But most of the time, my mum cooked one meal for us and one meal for him.
Yeah. I think in them days, I think with Jamaican people, there was kind of a bit more Europeanised, if you know what I mean.
Westernised.
So it was easier for a white woman to adapt to that style of cooking.
Possibly, you know.
But, you're saying it's like some woman who's come from fucking Shoreditch, I want fufu, gari.
No, you're right,
it'd be like, fucking
because a green banana is just like putting a potato in the pan. But to make fufu is like a whole fucking...
Yeah, and like yam and stuff like that, they're going to go, fucking hell. Yeah. But it's only when you get the chance to taste these things, that, fucking hell, it's nice food, isn't it,
I might get some yam on the way home, actually.
Yeah, I like to have some, at least once a week. I like to get some Jamaican food. Me too. I'd have it, if there was one near, I'd have it more often, but I'm not up here all the time, so.
Well, it's been a strange life for us, hasn't it, really?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I loved having these chats because I love, instead of just thinking it, hearing someone else.
What's going on in people's minds.
And discussing it with someone with a grown-up head.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's like I was reading the article in the paper, because it's he wasn't young, he's 30-something, but an ex-soldier, mixed race, and from Radcliffe, from where I'm from, and he was sort of like saying about the racism that he received while he was in the army, serving for the army, and you think, well, what have I got to do, that makes me acceptable to this country? You go and fight for your country.
Yeah,
you put your life
what
on the
bigger
line.
thing can you do than that?
Yeah, to be accepted. So it's still, what's happened with racism, because it's illegal, no, it doesn't come, the words don't come out, but the thought's still there. So people, they're very careful what they say because they know it can actually ruin your career depending what job you're doing. So people are very careful what they say. They lose their tongue a little bit on Facebook and sometimes like that, but even that will get censored and you won't see it there for long. And in order to make racism end, you have to change people's minds. You don't go, this is the law. It's like when, say, to be gay, when it was outlawed, it didn't stop people being fucking gay, did it?
No.
So by the same token, then someone's a racist because you said, this is the law, don't you be racist. Don't mean I don't think, well, you're a nigger. Does it? It's about changing thoughts, and that's what's wrong with this country. It's changing, it's changed a lot, but it still needs to change some more. And once we get to that stage, we'll have a bit of peace.
But the thing is, Phil, you can't change other people's thoughts. You can only change your own. Do you know what I mean? You can only change your... My experience, right?
No, but you've also got the power of suggestion, haven't you? So if you can plant a seed in someone's mind that perhaps that the way that you're thinking, that the train of thought is wrong, that it makes no sense in it, because, we have logic, don't we, to analyse problems. So, when you sort of had, a domestic and you're fucking depressed and all that, it only takes the right person coming round and talking to you the right way.
Yeah,
because when
look at it from another angle.
Yeah, because all it is when you've had the breakup of a relationship, you want someone to agree with you. But what it takes is someone to disagree with you and get you back on a level thought, a level plane. And it's not happening with racism in this country. For me, for example, the EDL, stuff like that, they'd be outlawed the same way that they outlawed the IRA. Then why are you not outlawing EDL? They preach race hate. It should be the end, BNP, the end, all them things, you know what I mean? In my opinion, I still see them as that if it was up to them, that I wouldn't exist. So they're a threat, direct threat to me and my offspring. So they're the enemy. Is that or not?
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm not going to answer the phone then.
Yeah, no, it's on. I don't know what I think about things like that. When I've been in the arts world, right, you know, and the writers and that, I know that they want me to tell a certain story about us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like if you're saying like, oh, he was a criminal, we've got, or whatever, that we've got to mend our ways, or we've got to be a victim or something. And what I love about doing these is just telling your real story.
Yeah.
Tell me your real, do you know what I mean? And I think in time, that will change public opinion as well, to just see that you're just a fucking person.
That's it.
Do you know what I mean? You're just a fucking person. And in our particular era, in our particular time, we had particular challenges. Because I see myself as half caste, but I see Rachel as mixed race.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Do you know, like that Rachel has not had the same sort of struggles. There's loads of mixed race kids now. There's blue eyes, blonde hair. My brother's kids.
As soon as I see one, I know. Doesn't matter how much black blood they've got in them. I can just tell.
Or not in them. Like my brother's daughter.
Yeah, or not, correct.
My brother's daughter's got totally blonde hair, right, and blue eyes.
Yeah.
Looks like a mum. You would never dream my dad is her granddad.
Well,
but on the other hand, Naomi, our Val's kid, is totally black. Yeah. You would never dream. My mum was her grandma.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen in this country, in the generations that's going to come, you're going to have, like, say someone who's Anglo-Saxon and they're going to meet a girl or a boy, very fair-skinned, but has got that African ancestry. They're going to come together and you're going to have these sort of, like...
We used to call it a throwback.
Yeah.
Where you get a dark kid.
But you're going to get many of them. Many. They're probably mixed race people. I mean, I might be quoting this wrong, but I think it's the fastest growing population in the UK. Yeah, you know, so what there's a few hundred years from now, you know, how many generations will that be? 3-4 generations from now? Society will have changed. We'll know that it's wrong to judge someone by the colour, the sexuality. It's about intellect and kindness and what we've got to offer society. All human beings, doesn't matter. The bottom line, colour doesn't matter. You know, the fact that, say, countries like the West Indies and Africa are still suffering, Europe should pay in some way to help mend that situation, because the life we're living now has been on the backs of that. You know, that our reserves is built by slavery, and that these are facts that they're not going to teach you in normal education at school, you know, which we need to know. If you know the truth, then if I know the truth, then I can form my own opinion. But if you're telling me lies, then you're not giving me a choice, are you? Just saying, look, it is how it is. Here's the history, and here's how we sort of like made all the Africans, how we civilised them and taught them this and taught them that, and we took nothing off them, where in actual fact they did. You know, they went there with the fucking Bible and the gun, and they come away with everything and left the fucking Bible. And, you know, you can't do that. You can't do that to a nation and then think, oh, it doesn't matter now. You see what's going on in the States with the native Indians and their sacred lands, or there's treasures here. They've got treasures here, you know, still from Benin in Nigeria, that they've not been given back, that they was taken as fucking raiders, man. Give them back, I'm saying. That's cultural to me. For one thing like that to happen would make me then feel even more proud of being an English mixed race person, because I would think in my mind, well, they're acknowledging something that they did, that it's wrong. You know, the Egyptian mummies, put them back in fucking Egypt. See, no, if I went to Southern Cemetery, you know, like that, and started digging up all fucking coffins, taking them back to Nigeria, what would they say? Fucking will be savages, you know. Let the dead rest, man, you know, and they don't. It's all that, you know, that to think that to be European, that you're number one, and everything that comes from it, they're a bit lesser.
No, it's true.
All the way down, and it's wrong.
No, it's true.
And I think they'll realise that in the end, they're going to realise. But the old guard, they've got to die out. The likes of Prince Philip and people like that, because he's the old guard. That's what he represents to me, John Bull. He is John Bull.
Are they the old guard, right? Are they, right? Oh, what am I trying to say? Do they need to die out, or do we need to step up?
I think it's a bit of both. I think that you have to have political voices, and as I say, that we've got to stop going under the black banner. There is no black fucking banner. Our issues are totally different. They really are. In education, everything is just different. And even I think to a degree, I mean, I've always had this mad theory in me that if you're a mixed race person and you're born into a society that won't accept some of the traits that you're naturally going to have as being of a mixed race background, whether it was like Chinese. So, for example, you just naturally, it's in your genes to be able to absorb and eat Chinese food. If you're not brought up with that sort of both things in your life, what you're born to be, then it's going to, I believe it honestly has an effect on you in some way, because I'm not living with what the genes, like I'm not living in a hot fucking country, am I? You know, I'm not out hunting, and it's directly there. I'm saying, you know, a couple of centuries ago, my father's people, there was hunting. It fucking wasn't here, was there?
No.
Was there at all, you know? And I've got them, you've kind of got both them things pulling at you where I'm capable of being savage, but I'd rather use intellect because for whatever reasons, perhaps how the white man has taught me, you know, that the black man's only capable of savagery. They're not capable of thought, of deep thinking about anything. Yeah, they're being proven wrong all the time that, you know, a black man can't fucking swim. Black people can't do gymnastics. You know, black people can't play fucking tennis. It's all been proven wrong. Black man can't play football. You know, I played in the days of football where you might be playing somewhere in Salford. So you get your black bastard and we'll punch your fucking head in. So you go, ref, you get a fucking on with it. You know, and that's how it was. And you think, fucking hell. Yeah, if you used to do that today now, even in amateur football, that's the end of that player's career completely and utterly. Yeah. He will never ever play again. So in some ways, we're making small steps, but this huge step needs to be taken in a big way. Do you know what I mean? So I'm saying, because if you're a black person, right, and you're a spokesperson, and nothing against black people whatsoever at all, but your issues are predominantly for black people, my issues are to sort out for mixed race people and for the black people to understand that, look, I'm born this way and I think a certain way, and for the white people to understand as well, look, I might be part of you, but I think this way. The way that I analyse things, I am not looking at it from that same perspective whatsoever. It's something that's beyond their understanding.
I know what you're saying.
Because I'm not a child now. I'm a big man, you know, and I've experienced many things. So if we was to say to this black man now, who's my age, look here, what I want you to do, I want you to go and work in McVitie's. There's only one problem, the top wages, but you'll be the only black man there. And then we get a white guy and say, well, I've got a top job for you. The only problem is that, you know, they're all Pakistanis or they're all black, and let them have that experience and then come out, and they're going to come out from that and go, well, like, I feel part of them, but I'm not quite like them. But that's what's been happening to me all my life.
Oh, well said, Phil.
Do you know what I mean? That's
no, but well said.
Okay.
I do exactly know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm coming back to the Reno, that even though we never fucking spoke like this in the Reno.
No, because it would have been dead uncool.
No, absolutely. They'd be like, she's fucking mental, man. Yeah. But a part of me knew it was there. I walked in that Reno the first night, right? And I knew that all of yous was having my experience. Yeah. Even though no fucker was... No. And I think partly why a lot of us actually went quite mad. A lot of us became quite ill, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, mentally ill, right, to varying degrees.
Yeah, because I think you can definitely... Oh my God, she's on early.
It's because we never spoke like that. We couldn't understand it then. It's different now. We're looking back a long time. Do you know what I'm saying? What we couldn't understand what you've just said. Yeah, because back then, racism it was in inside of us. It was all around us, inside of us, and it made up everything around us.
And like, say, my first positive black role model, it would have been Muhammad Ali. that as you grow older, you learn that there's many more than him, many more.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
Malcolm X. You know, there's
Yeah.
loads of them who had their own perception of what like the solution was, but the solution isn't for us to go back to Africa or to Jamaica. Far from it. You know, it's here. This is our country. Born
I
here.
think part of what, I don't know whether the right word is solution, but it's definitely to air what we've lived.
Yeah. So
Definitely to air what we've lived and other people to hear what we've lived and make conclusions.
And then, but it is also that some people's going to watch this and they might not connect me and Paul as being brothers because both our experiences and our way of expressing the anguish and pain we've both felt are very, very different. But I'm not blaming any one individual for my plight at that time. That was society. That's what that, you know, that when it's righteous to arrest a young boy just because of his colour, you can't do them things. In your education, you can't be teaching kids who's got a black parent colonialism and then trying to say it's right, justify it. You just can't. You know, it makes you feel a lesser person. You just think, well,
absolutely.
You know, you need the positive things saying, but also the positive things of what white people have done, because they have done positive things. This is
it? Are we off?
Yeah, come on.